Hi guys,
It's here.
I'm Kim with Fallen Oak, and people that know me know I'm probably not going to sit here the whole time. I'm going to have to get up and walk around and talk. So I see a lot of new faces this year that probably don't know anything about what I do or who I am. I do have several friends in here today that became friends from last year. So I'm really excited to see everybody that's here, everybody that's interested in what I do. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Fallen Oak Equine Rescue, how it started, who started it, how I became part of it, and kind of where it is today. Now, there are some things I'm going to leave out because I'm having a panel on Sunday called Look What You Did. And that's to let all of you know that were here last year or have donated online or come to the farm shows what has happened over the last year. So there are a few things that I don't want to touch on because that's going to be a big surprise for us Sunday, right before the charity auction in the same place. So if you come, then you'll have a great seat. You won't even have to leave. You can just sit there, play on your phone and talk for 30 minutes. So Fallen Oak. Fallen Oak was started in December. It will be 13 years. I am the third president of Fallen Oak Equine Rescue. I moved to Florida 7 years ago in October. I'm a native of Cincinnati, Ohio. I lived there for 50 years. And I was one of those kids that loved a horse since they were 3 years old. And I had parents that said, we're not gonna buy you a horse. You're gonna get over it. You're not gonna want this horse. I had 3 other siblings. It's not fair. You have a horse and they don't have one. It's very expensive. Well, I didn't get over it. I bought my first horse when I was 37 years old. Took a long time, but I did get my first horse when I was 37 years old. And anybody that owns horses know you can't have just one. They are herd animals. So they can be with cows. They can be with goats. They can be with sheep or donkeys or mules. But they don't do well alone because they were created to be in a herd environment. So I got one, and then I had to get a second one. And then I got a third. And this was back in the time when I was a banker. And I had a really good job. And I made really good money. And I bought horses. That's what I did. I was like, finally, I'm 40 years old. I've arrived. I can have 5 or 6 horses now. You know, I worked my butt off and I had horses. And one day I saw an ad out on Facebook and there was this horse out there and they had 5 days to find him a home. And I'll just let y'all know right now. My 2 weaknesses are Rocky Mountain horses and paints. Those are my favorites. Rockies are big dogs and they're gaited and I've had double hip replacement. So I really don't want to trot. I'd rather gait and just glide along. And they have great personalities. But I've always loved the way a paint looks. No 2 paints are the same. People don't realize that. A spot could be off just a bit. They're never the same. They're very unique in color and pattern. So those have always been my 2 favorite. And this horse was paint. He was a red and white paint. And he had beautiful markings. He was 17 hands high. Just big old horse. So I saw it on Facebook and I was like, oh, that's really sad. And then my friends started calling me. How many stalls do you have? I was like, 11. Why? How many horses do you have? 10. Why? Well, Kim, there's this horse and he's at this camp and they have 5 days to find him a home and he's lame. Would you go get him? And I didn't do rescue work. Why am I going to go do this? I just have my fun horses and my daughter has horses and my sons at that time had horses. There's something about it. And I'm really sad I can't show you a picture of him today because Walgreens all closed and the orders I was picking up of a huge picture of him I couldn't get because of the hurricane. But one of the guys here is going to print it out. It's on my phone. And actually, this lovely couple in the front have him hanging in their house. They bought a picture of him last year because he started it all. So I thought about it, and I just kept looking about him. There's something about his eye. And a horse's eye tells a lot about a horse. There's kind eyes. There's frightened eyes. There's mischievous eyes. Sometimes people think there's mean eyes, but I don't believe that. There's a story behind that. There's a reason why an eye might look differently than another. That horse has usually probably been through something traumatic that's made them just have like a little bit different look in their face. So after a day, it was day 3, I loaded up my trailer and I went and picked up this horse. And I got there and I was like, what have I got myself into? He was dead lame, could barely get him in the trailer. He was underweight, and he definitely had some conformation issues. So I brought him home. I said, what's his name? She said, his name's Early Bird. I said, Early Bird. Well, what am I going to call him? I've had some really fancy rescues come in because sadly, when horses don't perform, especially thoroughbreds, they're what the world calls throwaways. They're done. So horses come into me and have real fancy names, but I always give them what's called a barn name. So everybody said, oh, call him Phoenix, call him this. I said, no, his name's Earl. He said, why are you calling him Earl? I said, Early Bird, Earl. Just look at him, he's Earl. So I had the vet out to see Earl, and we put special shoes on Earl, and we treated all his ailments. And my daughter, who was with me, Trinity's almost 16, she started riding Earl when she was 4 years old. You talk about a gem. Oh, and I was like, wow. Wonder if there's more horses like this that need to be rescued. Well, there was. So I had an 11 stall barn and 14 horses. I kind of added things and did some run-ins, and I started getting the bug for rescue. I was at 4 rescues. And then one day my life changed forever. I was very fit, about 25 pounds lighter than I am. I drank occasionally. I didn't smoke. I was in great health. And one night I was outside and I just didn't feel right. And I dealt with it for a couple hours, and I wound up going to the ER, and they said, well, we think you have an inner ear viral infection. And I said, okay. And they gave me meds and I left. Well, they were wrong, because the next morning when I was driving to work, I had a massive stroke. And I went from being in control, in charge, and in my mind altogether, to not able to walk, not able to talk, not able to go to the bathroom by myself, not able to dress myself in a matter of about 40 minutes. My first memory after the actual strokes, almost about 5 hours later, my 22-year-old son came in, and I remember looking at him in the hospital room, and he was just sobbing. And I thought, why is he crying? And apparently I was trying to say his name, and it took 5 minutes to get it out. So my life changed overnight. And I started the whole routine of going through rehab. Took 9 months to walk with a walker, to get on and off the toilet by myself, to learn how to do things with my right hand because my left side still didn't work. When I had just gotten to the point where I was doing well, I had a second stroke. This one happened in the cardiologist's office. This one affected me in so many different ways I couldn't swallow, and it was more cognitive. The first one was physical. The second one was cognitively. And I wound up in rehab in the hospital for about 40 days with the second one. And then I came home and I was just like, okay. And then I was told you have a 78% chance of a third stroke and it's going to be fatal. So when you're 45 years old and you have a 4-year-old child, Trinity, and you have older children, you look at things a little differently because you're not sure how long you're going to be around. It was very, very difficult to realize this was the new normal for me, that maybe I wasn't going to be normal or what the world says is normal for the rest of my life. And it was very difficult, a very dark time, very frustrating time. And I had all these horses. I had 14 horses. I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. My kids would roll me out in my wheelchair and I would just sit in my pasture and I would talk to God and say, I don't care if I ever walk again, just let me ride. I don't care if we have to develop something where you get me on this horse and I just walk around and I never gallop again. Just let me ride. So that happened. I got put up on a horse about a year later and I got walked around and it was an older rescue. And I said, nah, put me on my horse. And they were like, no, we're not gonna put you on your horse. And I said, put me on my horse. And I got on that horse. His name was Taz. And he knew I wasn't the same person. He knew, oh, we're not running today. We're just walking. He could feel my energy. Horses feed off of your vibes. They can hear your heartbeat feet away. If you're calm, they know. If you're afraid, they know. Call it energy, call it vibes, call it mojo. A horse knows that. They're phenomenal therapy creatures. And that's why they're used with veterans, with autistic children, with stroke victims, with all different walks of life because they're really in tune with people. So I rode Taz that day. I couldn't walk, but I rode. And then I was determined, I'm going to walk again. I'm going to be as normal as I can. And okay, I can't be a banker anymore. I couldn't even sit down and remember on a laptop how to go to the next screen. Because that part of my brain didn't work right. So I thought, what am I going to do with my life? I'm probably going to die. What am I going to do between now and then when I do die? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to give horses a second chance because I got a second chance. So that's what I decided to do. So then my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and I moved to Florida 7 years ago. And I brought all my horses with me. 18, took 3 trips. I bought a small little 7-acre farm. Don't have a fancy house at all. It's 47 years old. I didn't care. I want 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I don't care about anything else. I pulled into my driveway. Those of you that are coming to Mare Day, you'll get it. And I was like, oh, yeah, this is it. My dad said, well, we haven't even gone in the house. I said, you don't understand. Look at these paddocks. Look at this fencing. Feel this vibe. It's so peaceful. Dad, this is the house. And then I walked in the house and I was like, oh gosh, I have to redo this whole thing. It's a 70s kitchen. Wow, none of the flooring matches in every single room. And I said, that's okay. I can make it what I want it to be someday. This is where I want to be. So we bought the farm. So I moved into the farm. I settled into the farm and I did some fostering and I did some horse hauling for the old president of Fallen Oak Equine Rescue. So I get a phone call one day. Hey, Kim, you've worked with us before. I want you to think about something. I need to step down. Would you consider taking over Fallen Oak? And I was like, well, I don't know. How many horses do you have? She was like 17 right now. And I said, oh, that's a lot. But we have 5 fosters and maybe 3 or 5 will have to come to your farm. It's okay. You know, we're doing well. There's money in the bank account. We do fundraisers. And I said, I really need to think and pray about this. Can you give me a little time? She was like, sure. So 3 days later, I knew I needed to do it. So I called her up and said, yeah, I'll do it. So I became president. It was effective March 1st, 2020. Everybody remembers what happens in March of 2020. So COVID hits. And we go from about $3,000 to $5,000 in donations a month to about $2,500. Okay, well, we're still making it. Then come April and May, nobody wants to do it anymore. I don't make these horses on my farm anymore. I can't even take care of mine. I need you to come get them. Everybody bails. So Kim Kim has personal horses. At this time I had 16 because I had lost 2 of mine to old age. No, we're not doing this anymore. You need to come get them. So Kim winds up with 43 horses on a 7-acre farm. Anybody that knows horses knows what happens to your paddocks. They disappear. So I have 43 horses. Everybody leaves. No money. No money. What am I going to do? I'm the president. I'm responsible for all of these souls. I tap into my retirement. I've tapped into my retirement for 3.5 years. My retirement goes from $113,000. And as of today, $25,604 is all that's left. Who's going to take care of them? I am. Because that's what I'm called to do. So I start over. And there are days that I get a phone call to pick up a horse. They say it's in bad condition. Well, everybody's idea of bad condition is different. Since I've taken over to date, there have been 37 horses that have walked onto my farm that crossed the Rainbow Bridge within 36 hours. Some of them we could barely get in the trailer. Some of them I didn't know if they'd live for an hour in a trailer. Some of them were beautiful show horses that had been lame for 2 years, that the vet showed up and they had holes in all their hooves, all the way to their coffin bones. They had no coffin bone. They were standing in constant pain, and the only thing I could do for them was to euthanize them. There's been horses that have been full of cancer with masses all over them that people just threw away. They just threw them all away. They didn't care. When a horse comes in like that, I make sure I keep it for 24 hours. I put it on pain meds the minute it walks in the door, and I keep it on pain meds. But I show it love, because I don't know if it's ever seen love. For 24 hours, Trinity and I hang out with them. I brush them. I hug them. I kiss them. I fix their manes. I fix their tails. Stop by my table. I have 2 feral horses that were just seized 10 days ago, and a 50-horse seizure. Look at their manes. I can't even touch them. It took Trinity and I 10 days to get them to follow us with grain. I just got them in a paddock yesterday. The stuff I see, the stuff I've had to do, I never dreamt I'd have to do it. Ever. I have a horse named Mercy. You know why I named her Mercy? Because when I picked her up, she had the worst case of active live lice I've ever seen in my life. It was crawling all over, everywhere. And I looked at that horse and I told the lady, I said, oh, this horse needs so much mercy. And when I said that, she looked at me and I said, that's your name. And that's her name. Do you know it took 3 years of handling and the farrier to be with her before she didn't chew on her tongue so bad that she made it bleed and she foamed at the mouth? 3 years. Because somebody was horrible to her. Somebody probably abused her to the fact that she would get so worked up and just start shaking her head and chewing on her tongue. We just got past that a few months ago. Now she's great. 3 years. Had a new guy come in 2.5 weeks ago. His name's Big Red. You're coming to Mare Day, you're gonna meet him. He's 31. You should see the scars from here to here across his face where he got hit with 2x4s. Hadn't had his feet done in a year. The farrier came last week. My farrier is an amputee. He's phenomenal. He'll be at Mare Day also. We started working on Red. It took 1 hour to do just to trim his feet. The minute we started, he said, "Oh my gosh, Kim, every muscle in this horse's body is tense. He's waiting for me to hit him. He's waiting. He is so afraid. He's going to do something wrong and I'm going to hit him." And he said, "No matter what he does, I'm not going to touch him. No matter what he does." 1 hour, something that takes 20 minutes max, 1 hour. I have horses that come in that breeders have bred them knowing they shouldn't be bred. And they deliver a baby and they're so badly foundered that I have to keep them on drugs so they can just stand until I can wean their baby. But hey, they've got a top of the notch bloodline. They get $5,000, $10,000 for this baby. Who cares about how the mother feels? Nobody cares. I have so many off the track thoroughbreds. They didn't win. They didn't win enough money. They have an injury. I'm not going to pay to put them in a stall for 6 to 8 weeks and put them back on the track. Kim, if you don't take them, I'm sending them to slaughter. Sending them to auction. Happens every single day. Every single day. Before Corp and Moscow came out a year and a half ago to my farm, I was about done. At that time, I had 35,000. I did have to pull 10 more out this year, only because of the demand and the number of horses that I've had. But I was tired. And I didn't know where I was going to put these horses. And I didn't know how I was going to do everything. And I thought, I got $35,000 left. That's all I have. So if I have a major issue, I have no money. I'm on Social Security disability for the rest of my life. Can't work anymore. My career is done. It's been like that now for almost 12 years. What am I going to do? I don't like people. I got to that point. I'd rather go out and just stay in the pasture and talk to my horses all day. Why? Because those people are the ones that have done this. I'm cleaning up your mess. I'm taking care of your throwaway. Like, what's wrong with you? This year alone, I've had 2 horses that we adopted out that came back neglected. If anybody follows my Facebook page, there's a mare on there. Her name's Honey. Twice, adopters failed her. One of them was a foster from the old president's time period. Oh yeah, she's great. She'll rehab her. She was in as worse shape when I picked her up than when I dropped her off. I have to go out and be kind. I'm not allowed to go to somebody's house and say, "What the hell is wrong with you? How can you do this?" I'm not allowed to do that. So I have to get out of my truck, walk over and say, "Thank you for giving me the horse back," or "Thank you for calling me." That's not what I want to say. That's not what I want to do. But that's what I have to do because I'm a public charity. And I'm in the horse capital of the world. So I have to be
gracious.
Yes, and I have to be careful of what I say and what I do. When that's not what I want to say or do. That's not how I feel inside. But I have to be kind, and sometimes I don't want to be kind. One 6-week period, I had to euthanize 7 horses. 7 horses. That was a year ago this summer. My vet saw me so much. I put the last horse down 2 days before my birthday. My vet sent me flowers on my birthday just to say, you need a break. What people don't realize is sometimes that is the most humane thing you can do, but it's not cheap. It is $290 for the vet to come to my farm. I always sedate before I euthanize. That is always the kindest, most gentlest way to do it. $290. Then it's $400 to be buried in a mass grave, or to be buried on my farm, or taken to another property and buried. That's $700. So people call me up, yeah, I have this horse, it's kind of skinny, can you come get it? I get there and I know exactly what I'm gonna have to do when I pick it up. And I have to look at them and say, thank you for calling me. Thank you. And then I get in the truck and I scream or I cry. One of the two things happens. It just depends. Depending on, can I fix it? To the point now, I know what I can fix and what I can't. But I'll be honest with you, if my vet tells me I have a 10% chance, I'm gonna try. Because that's 10%. If that horse is not in organ failure or in severe pain where it can't even stand, I'm gonna try. Sometimes people say to me, why don't you just euthanize the old ones? Just euthanize the old ones. Well, you know, I'm old. I'm 57. They told me 10 years ago I'd have a third stroke and be gone, but guess what? I'm not. I'm not. My sanctuary horses are my favorite horses. You have no idea how much love they give. Because just like any other animal, they know I saved them. They know I fixed them. I'll just go out there and sit with them. They come around like big dogs. They truly do. They know I love them. They know I saved them. But before Mare Fair last year, I really was done. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And then these two people call me and say, yeah, we're part of this convention that we're doing this year. We're looking for a farm, a horse rescue that's not big, that really needs help. And they said they wanted to come out. And I got off the phone and I called my dad. And I was like, these people are coming out to my farm and they're never going to pick me. They're never going to pick me. My dad's like, why aren't they going to pick you? And I said, Dad, I have a 7-acre farm. I'm not fancy. I have nothing fancy. My farm needs so much work. Why would they want to associate with me? They're not going to want any part of me. I was so nervous. And the day Corp in Moscow came out, I was like, yeah, they're not going to be here long. 3.5 hours. And they were so kind. And I didn't really know. I didn't know anything about the fandom. It was a normie. I didn't know anything about the fandom. I didn't know anything. I mean, I knew about My Little Pony when Trinity was little. That was my extent. So they came out, you know, they were there a long time, and then they left, and I thought, they're not going to pick me. I'm not fancy. Look at my farm. Look at my paddocks. I don't even have electric in my barn. I don't have anything. They're not going to pick me. They picked me. Yeah. When Corp called me, I was like, what? He goes, we knew the minute we got in the car, we both said, yeah, we're not going to go visit anybody else. It's Kim. I said, why'd you pick me? I'm not fancy. He goes, why'd we pick you? Because you're who you are. You don't have anything fancy. And we saw all these horses on your farm and they look fabulous. You can look at them and say, well, I know where your money goes, because sure, not my house. My window is 40 years old. And he said, we knew that. And we knew we had to help. So I came here last year, like, I don't know what to expect. And why are people going to accept me and talk to me? And I don't know. And Several people the first day were kind of like, oh, hi, and looked at my pictures, moved on. Then they came back the second day. Then they came back the third day. And I walked into the auction and I was like, I think we had raised about $8,000 at that point with what was in my box and a couple of the different charity things and the attendee dinner. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm probably gonna raise maybe $12,000 or $13,000. Now we're doing this charity auction. I bet it's like $4,000 or $5,000. Dude. I think after we hit like 10, I just like ugly cried the whole time. I mean, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. I was just like, oh, wow. Wow. And I went home and I was just like in awe. Then I really started to think, you know, I didn't think you'd ever pick me because I didn't fit in with the Ocala horse farms. I didn't fit in with the big rescues. And so many of you thought you wouldn't fit in with me. Oh, we were so both wrong. And I went back like, I can pay $10,000 in vet bills. I had $10,000 in vet bills when I walked in here last year. And I owed 2 months of pasturing. And then I was like, wow, I can do this. I'm not giving up. I'm going to do this. Like, look what these people did for me. And you guys renewed me. Because I thought, all these people that thought, oh, we're autistic, or oh, we're different, or we don't fit in. So don't give yourself so much credit. Look at your hearts. I will give you a fact. So many of you have stepped up and created a fallen oak revival for me, because I'm going to be honest. Word got out on the street that Kim's not a normie. And that fallen oak has decided to associate with the MLP fandom. And part of it started with the person that was with me last year. And so I forced her to resign from the board. And then with what happened with the other charity that I was trying to bring on with us last year, that basically destroyed me. I have 3 donors left. I get $75 a month from the normie population. You all raised $61,000 for me last year, all combined. This Fallen Oak Revival group, as of sitting right here, because I checked it this morning, $15,903. In Fallen Oak history over 13 years, has never brought this in a year. So guess what? The normies couldn't do it, but you all did. And I sit back and I think, how can I not keep doing this forever? Because look who's got my back. All of you. And I know that in my heart. So on the days where I get a phone call, I need you to come pick this horse up. And I think in my mind, I'm going to have to put it down. I know I am. I'm going to have to put it down. I'm still going to go get it. And I'm still going to love it for 24 hours. You know something else I do? I cut off a piece of mane and tail on every single horse that crosses my path. And I wear them on my wrist. Every year I go to Ohio to an event called Equine Fair. And I take mane and tail and I ask them to make a bracelet and I wear them because I'm never going to forget them. Never. Never, ever, ever. Am I going to be here? Am I going to be with y'all in 20 years? I don't know. I sure hope so. If I'm not the charity moving forward with cons, am I always going to still be here? Oh, yes, I am. Because I came in here a year ago, not knowing anybody, not expecting anything. And I came here this year to see all my friends. To see all my friends and to see where we're at and what you've done. You know, the horses are my life. And I do the work. Trinity and I do the work. Right now, there's 27 horses in the rescue. And I have personal horses. I have 14 personal horses. 4 of mine are retired. They're just living the dream too. And then I have yearlings that just hang out. And actually my favorite horses are horses that I rescued years ago. Those are my riding horses. My daughter has 2 throwaway thoroughbreds. She'd rather have those than the fancy ones. I do the day-to-day work. Yes, I do. I do the feeding and the mucking of stalls and the grooming and the bathing and the doctoring and all that other stuff. But I couldn't do it without you. I couldn't do it. Because I'm about out of money. I'm just keeping it real. And it just amazes me where I sit and look where Fallen Oak is today, where it was a year ago. Because every single person that's sitting in this room. And there are people that haven't been here before that have probably donated online. And there are some people that are sitting in here right now that have donated big time. And have bought a lot of art. And have donated just out of their own heart for different things that we've had online. You're Fallen Oak also. I'm not just Fallen Oak. If you've bought a sticker, you're Fallen Oak. If you've donated $1, you're Fallen Oak. If you've just come over and given me a hug and said, I appreciate you. Thank you for what you do. Even if you haven't even done that, if you've just thought about me, or even better, prayed for me, you're Fallen Oak. It's not just me and Trinity anymore. It's all of you. And Fallen Oak's going to continue. It's never leaving. It's never going away. You know what I've started doing? You're probably going to laugh. I have a couple group pictures because I have a lot of people that are involved. And on days that I cry, and that's a lot, or when I want to scream, sometimes I'll look at that picture and I'll remember, no, it's Fallen Oak too. This is your people. This is your group. You guys do so much. You have no idea. You have no idea. You know, we just lost Lucy the other day. I don't know if y'all remember, we did the fundraiser for the signage for one of the shelters that you bought. When we did the fundraiser, Cowboy and Lucy had to be in a separate paddock. Cowboy has 17 teeth and 1 eye. And everyone's like, oh, what do you put him down? Because he's fat and almost 32 years old. He's living the dream. And Lucy was his girlfriend. So they had to have a special area to be sequestered so that he could eat. So everything has to be soaked. So Lucy and Cowboy have been hanging out in the area that you all donated for when we picked the 4 ponies for the sign. And I went out the other day. Lucy's great. I fed everybody at 7:30. Everything was fine. I went out Wednesday morning and Lucy was gone. And you know, when you do this for a long time, people say, oh, well, you get numb to it. I've had people say that to me. Oh, you just don't care. You get numb. You know, you see death all the time. You don't care. Well, that's not true where I'm concerned. And I didn't know she was gone. Cowboy wouldn't stop whinnying. I mean, it was like obnoxious. I was outside feeding and he just kept going and going and going. And I was like, why is keep whinnying? And then I looked in the back and I was like, Lucy's laying down. She doesn't lay down. You learn too with the horses you have. Some of them lay down. Some of them, sometimes you think they're dead. I have to scream at them and then see a little ear twitch and they're just snoring and sleeping. So I took off running. She was gone. And the vet said she probably had a heart attack or just laid down and died. Because you can tell where they lay if there was any thrashing, maybe a colic or an aneurysm or something painful. There was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I've been so stressed out about trying to get everything ready for Mare Day. And I've been so stressed out about getting ready everything for the con that when I first saw her, I was just kind of like, oh, Luce. Okay. And I brought Cowboy out. He wouldn't leave the paddock. Wouldn't leave her. Just stood there. And I had to call somebody to come. And Trinity's like, Mom, I'm sorry. And I was like, yeah. And they came and got her. And I went in and sat down for a minute. And I was like, oh, Luce. And then it hit me. She's gone. But in that brief moment before, it didn't hit me because I had so much on my mind and all this other stuff I had to do. And then I like stopped and took a minute and I was like, oh, she's gone. But then I stopped and thought, but what did Lucy have for 2 years? She came in a body score of 1. She was skin and hair over bones. And I posted a picture on Facebook. If anybody wants to see it, come by. It's on my phone. I'll show you what she looked like the day before she passed. She was fat. She was happy. She was loved. What a gift. I got 2 years. I got to rehab her and I got to love her for 2 years. That truly is a gift. So even though I struggle, even though I have bad days, I just keep doing it. I will continue to do it. I give you all my word on that. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. How much time do I have? Do I have time for people? Okay. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Rescuing as many horses as I can. I don't want to give numbers away, but if you come to look what you did, you guys are going to be blown away. Blown away about what you did. People usually have questions, so I'm going to open it up. If anybody, Krystal has a question. Yes, ma'am.
What do you need us to do?
What do I need you to do?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What's our future goals?
Whoa.
What's your 10-year goal? That's my favorite question to ask
Okay,
in
so your
con.
goal is great. That's great. So I have rented a 40-acre pasture, and several people that are in here have been there. And there are several people that come to the farm at least once a month. So please know, there are business cards on my table. Take them. Text me, call me, message me. If you're ever in Florida, you're always welcome. My door is always welcome. And if I'm not home and you say you want to come, I'll give you the gate code because there's going to be a gate code. You can go in and see the horse. Honestly, I'm totally fine with that. I'm open 24/7. So this 40-acre property is beautiful. It was inherited by a lady and she doesn't live there, and her grandfather owned it, and it was a mini horse breeding farm. And there are still 2 minis left on the property that are in their 30s. Well, 40 acres, taxes are ridiculous. And upkeep is a lot of money. So a friend of mine knew that I needed to get the horses off my farm because I have a major water problem. The farm behind me has built a huge barn where all the water runs off when it rains. And it's coming through 2 areas in my paddocks and creating ruts all the way down the property. And then the neighbor built concrete driveway, and it's really lifted. So now all her water is running into my farm. So number one, I had to move horses, but I'm trying to get almost everybody off my farm because now we have to build a pond and reroute a bunch of water and build a berm so that I can even seed, because I did have some of my pastures worked on this year. And then the storm Debbie came through and it destroyed them. So I can't do anything else until we do that, until we fix that. But the lady was telling me the other day, she's thinking about possibly at some point selling off 20 acres and rebuilding her house. And so I was just like, 20 acres, you know, that's not in my league. But that might be in my league. If that were to be offered to me and I could sell my farm, then I don't care if I lived in a shack. If that's what I would have to do for a long time. I love my farm. The only way I will ever leave my farm is if I had an opportunity to move to a portion of that farm. But my intent is to rent it as long as I can. And she has said for right now, she's renting this farm to me for $67 a horse, which is unheard of. There are 28 horses on that farm, 18 rescues, 10 of my personal, and I pay her $1,800 a month, which that's unheard of. $67 a month. And it's beautiful paddocks, beautiful paddocks. So I'd like to have another location permanently, but we'll have to see. Honest answer. I don't know. I would love to get to the point where I don't struggle. It's about $7,000 a month right now because there's so many horses. And they're not the easier horses. They're not the easier keepers that are $200 or $300 a month. They're your older horses that are $500, $600, $700, $800 a month that eat grain, go through a bag of grain in 4 days, and a bag of grain's $32. And they eat soaked alfalfa pellets and alfalfa cubes because they can't eat hay. And then they're on supplements. So that's your higher, those cost a lot more. And then your thoroughbreds require extra things. So I'd like to get to a point where I don't struggle. Thanks to all of you. I didn't struggle for 6 months last year. But then, you know, I had an influx of horses. And then I had a lot of donations did fall away because of what had happened with the other charity and that situation. But that's okay. That's okay. Because I'm okay. And it's gonna be okay. So it's good. But that is my long-term goal.
Okay.
Anybody else have a question? Yes.
You mentioned that the property taxes for land are very high. Because you're a horse rescue, does that mean you're tax exempt? You don't.
Well, I get agricultural, but I do still have to pay tax. So like on my farm, I have 2 partials on my property. My house and 1 pasture is it's not outrageously expensive, but my other 4 paddocks are all zoned agricultural. I only pay $353 a year for those. So that works really well. But yes, I am tax exempt on everything else. But like when it comes to my property, I only get a break on the 4, just in that area. And then of course I don't have to pay anything on the rental farm. The rental farm is paradise. Mine will be at some point, you know, at some point I am going to work on my house. I'm just not there yet. I'm still, you know, I do well for several months. And then like last year I did really well until about March. And then I had to pull some more money out and that was okay. That was okay. You know, I've done that. I know it's dwindling, but you know, if I ever get in a pinch again, I'll probably do it again. I just hope I don't have to do it again. Because when you're 57 years old, you only have $25,000 in retirement. That's no money. You guys know that. That's no money. Especially when it's $7,000 a month to take care of horses. But I'm still going to do it. Anybody else? You can ask anything specific, like, yes, sir.
Yes, I was just wondering, since earlier you were mentioning about there being other larger farm rescues, and you were wondering why they are. You would say, wonder if you're one of these smaller rescues, you know, how come so many people still came to you to ask you to take their horses? They don't like it. rehabilitation, work about, you say horses and other places will not accept?
Yes, sir. That's the last one. Fallen Oak is known for taking the horses no one else will take. Yes, I'm known for that. And I'm not gonna change that about myself. Right. I get phone calls all the time. They just had a big seizure that I was talking about in Jefferson County. And we drove 3 hours to get the horses, and another rescue up there who I've partnered with before reached out and said, hey, Kim, is there any way you would come take these 2 horses? The other rescues can't handle them. They're feral. And I was like, oh, I've got so much on my plate. And Trinity said, Mom, and I said, I gotta think about this. Yeah, I'll do it. So I called them, but yes, I am known for that. And I think part of it is I would rather spend $700 of my budget and pick up a horse and show it love for 24 hours and humanely euthanize it than ignore it and it goes to a kill pen and goes on a semi and goes to Canada or Mexico and then is slaughtered. Because that's reality. That's reality. It happens every single day. Doesn't happen in the United States, but that's where it happens. So I'm not going to apologize or say when people say, oh, well, you just need to get rid of the old ones. No. Everybody deserves love. Even if it's only for 24 hours. Everybody deserves love. So yes, that's why. Apparently, I do what others won't. Maybe that's why you guys like it. I'm not sure. But I just, the reception that you gave me was just overwhelming. Overwhelming. Just absolutely overwhelming. And I have to be honest, I was 1,000 times more excited to come this year. Because I know what it's like. And I know people that are friends that I'm gonna get to see. And there's so many, like I'm looking over the rows. There's like in every single row, there's somebody I know. There's somebody that I consider a friend. There's somebody that I know is sponsoring a horse, has come to work, has donated. It's awesome. It's awesome. Anybody else have any questions? Concerns, comments? Yes.
Based on what you just said, you said people come to you for work. What's the process for that?
Oh, there's so much to be done. I am always open to people coming to want to repair fencing, to muck stalls. I don't have a big barn. I only have a 6-stall barn. I do not keep horses in stalls. I let horses be horses. Mine are only in stalls. 3 of them eat in stalls because I have to keep them separated. They're not mature enough to eat in their own area. They have to go to everybody else's. When I have horses that maybe are close to foaling, if I have a horse that's on stall rest, if I have a horse that I have to treat their feed or have to medicate, then I use my stalls. So they don't have to be mucked every day because like right now, I'm using 3 of the 6. So the other 3 are good. But there's always work to be done. There's always poop to be picked up. There's horses to be groomed. There's horses to be bathed. There's over the fence feeders, muck buckets, buckets to be cleaned. There's so much work. Honestly, I was thinking about it the other day. I start at 7 a.m. and I stop at about 9:30 p.m. every single day because I have to go to 2 farms and I feed twice a day because there's special needs horses at the other farm also. So I'm constantly doing horses. And I will be honest, June, July, and August are not my favorite time in Florida. Not at all. Not at all. It's miserable. I try and do like all the heavy duty stuff early in the morning and then try and do more low key in the afternoon. And it's really nice in the summer because we can feed at 7 or 7:30. But as when the time changes, you have to feed by 5. But at least it's getting a lot cooler. So there are all kinds of opportunities, all kinds. And if you're like, I don't want to do work. Could I just come over and brush your horse? You most definitely can because that's work. You most definitely can. Yes, anytime. I'm open to anything. And there have been people that are like, well, I can't do the work. Or I know you have a need. I know you need this. People, I think this is hilarious. So last year somebody asked me, so what kind of farm equipment do you have and what do you need? I have no farm equipment. What do you mean you don't have anything? No, I have a drag and nothing to pull it with. You don't have a gator? No. You don't have an ATV? No. You don't have a tractor? No. You don't have anything? No, I don't. I have nothing. I mean, we were operating on a shoestring budget. That's why I haven't put any money in my house, because I've been taking my money to compensate for where I'm short. And you bring a horse in that has a major vet bill. You walk in the door, it's $500 right away, because you have to have a Coggins, you have to have your vaccines, you have to see the farrier, you have to have your teeth done. That's $500 right there. So you're just walking in the door, and then if you have to have X-rays, that's $39 a photo. So I mean, it's crazy. And I have a really good vet who will maybe do 10 X-rays and charge me for 3. Who will maybe say, oh, this medicine was already opened. Here you go. You know, I used that at another farm. You can have it for free. So my vet's really, really good with that. Dr. Hall was still my vet with Ocala Equine Hospital, who was here last year. That she's still my vet. So they're really good with me on that. Like, oh, here's a bunch of extra syringes, things that don't have to be maybe listed as much in inventory, or things that they were going to discard. She will give to me. But yeah. Yes.
How's Trinity?
Huh?
How's your daughter, Trinity?
Trinity is awesome. She's over there if you guys want to talk to her.
Oh, okay.
She's awesome.
I just
She's
veered it.
Yes, love. Anytime. Anytime. Come by my table, take one of my cards. I have 2 cards. I have the professional one and the con one. They're 2 totally different. Take whatever one you want. Yeah. Just send me a message on Facebook. Or I had some guys that came out and did work at the other farm on Wednesday. This group flew in early to come and work all day for me. So, you know, and some of the guys that were in that group, there were a couple new ones, and they sent me a message on Facebook. Hey, just want to connect. Just want to have an open line of communication. There was someone that decided to sponsor a horse. I didn't even know this person. They sponsored a horse. Then they wanted to come meet such horse that they had sponsored. And they came out and they saw the 40-acre farm. And they also saw my farm. And this person said, well, yeah, I can see where all your money goes. It definitely goes to the horses. So I said, yeah, just ignore my house. I mean, it's not a dump, but it's 47 years old and I haven't updated anything in it. You know, it's a hurricane-proof cinder block house that needs a lot of updates. But then this person said, you know, you need help. You need a lot more than what you have. And they generously donated towards an ATV that we're still looking for. We need a Honda because that's the best kind to get because we did a lot of research. So, and we will find one in Florida. You know, even if it has an issue, I'll find one and Moscow can fix it. He's already said we could do that for me. So, and now that person's a friend and that person just wanted to help a horse. And they came out and met that horse. And then I got to know this person. And now I reach out to this person all the time. Hey, how you doing? And so many of you, I have relationships with you like that. But that's how it starts. Take a card. Reach out on Facebook to me. Say, hey, Kim, I'm going to be in Florida. Can I come over? Sure. You're always welcome. Always, always welcome. Because without you guys, I can't keep doing what I'm doing. I would have never had the number of horses I have right now if it hadn't been the con last year. I would have had to say no. And honestly, I haven't said no once this year. Not once. Because of all you. I do the work. But if it wasn't for what you all had done, I couldn't keep doing the work. So you should commit yourself. It's a team effort. For sure. I think that's it.
This is good.
guest here from the Fallen Oak Equine Rescue out of Florida. If you haven't talked to King yet, she does have a table upstairs, but I'm going to turn it over to her now so she can say a few words about the rescue.
We had a pleasure of volunteering at her rescue this summer. I think it was one of our favorite days, and I'm going to hand over the mic to Kim so she can tell you a little bit more.
There you go. Thank you, guys. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Now,
you
can
gotta
you
get
hear
really
me?
close up.
Okay, now can you hear me? Okay. My name is Kim. I have
Here, Kim.
been.
Try that one.
Okay, now can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. My name is Kim. I'm with Fallen Oak Equine Rescue in Ocala, Florida. And for the past 2 years, I have been enormously blessed by Mare Fair. I have been their charity for the last 2 years. I'm not sure what's going to happen yet this year, but I will definitely be at Mare Fair vending. I was asked to come this year just to sell merchandise, which I immediately said yes, because I have a bunch of friends in the fandom now. I've been around for 2 years, so I've got to learn a lot of people's names, get to know people. I have a Discord account, so I talk to people all the time. It's under Kim Sweeney, so if you ever want to ask me a question, shoot me a text, send me a message. I will gladly respond to you. We currently have 22 horses in my rescue. Our rescue is known for taking horses that nobody else will take. Majority of my horses are what we call sanctuary, which means they're at least 20 years old or they have medical issues where they cannot be rehomed. So they live at my farm until it's time for them to cross the Rainbow Bridge. I currently have, the oldest horse is 33 years and 3 months old. He has 1 eye and 17 out of his 36 teeth. And he's fat and he's happy and his name's Cowboy. I have a bunch of pictures of the current horses and pictures that were taken at Mare Day last year. If anybody is planning on coming to Mare Fair in September, I'm just gonna throw this out here. We haven't announced it yet, but we are going to have Mare Day at my personal farm again. It will be on September 9th. It will run from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. You get the opportunity to come to my house, stay in my house all day. If you're too hot, you're more than welcome.
There's dogs, there's cats, there's
Yes.
so many awesome people. We
And
love it.
there's a 7-acre farm. You can ride horses at my farm. You can spend hours in the pastures. I have 4 yearlings. I have babies. You can groom horses. You can help bathe horses. We will probably have the vet come this year to show people different things about horses. And then in the evening, we offer something called Dinner with Horses. That is at the 40-acre farm that is 5 miles from my home that I also rent.
Gorgeous.
It's
So
a
gorgeous.
beautiful piece of property. If you come by my table, take one of my business cards and you can see my website and you can see this farm. We bring the horses in, we put them in the stalls, we set up tables in the middle of the barn, and I cook for you. Last year I cooked for 48 people. This year I'm opening it up to 75. You just get to hang around with your friends all night in the barn, and the horses are arm's length away the entire time. So it really is an awesome opportunity. If you want to volunteer that day too, we even set things up. You want to clean water troughs, you want to help with fencing, you want to groom all the horses, you want to clean buckets, you want to feed. That's something else that we offer. There's just all kinds of things that are going on after Mare Day, after Mare Fair. So it's 2 days after Mare Fair is over, and that gives people an opportunity to hang out and kind of recoup on Monday. We're also going to have shuttle services. We did that last year also. If you drive, you can drive to my farm. If you don't, we're going to have 12 passenger vans that are going to be coming from the hotels to the farm all day long. And it's super cheap. It's going to be like $10 to come all day. And there's all kinds of snacks and drinks and everything
But
for
the
you
dinner
all.
is a separate fee.
Yes, the dinner is separate because that is a fundraiser. So I have all kinds of different things. I have pictures, I have keychains, I have an OC. Her
It's the
name is
cutest.
Fallen Oakley.
It's so cute.
We're working on getting a plushie for her, but right now I have keychains, I have magnets, I have stickers, and I have enamel pens. So if you want to stop by, that would be awesome. I'm excited to be at HarmonyCon to meet people that I've never met before, that either didn't make it to Mare Fair or didn't stop at my table last year. Please come by and say hey. Thanks, guys.
Could I? If you happen to be in the Florida area, could you just attend Mare Day and arrange to just come?
Yes.
And participate?
Yes, that is correct.
So-
If you are in Florida, please reach out to me. My doors are always open. You can always come see the rescue. Anytime.
So if
Anytime.
you and your friends happen to want to spend a day at Disneyland with your friends and hang out, and you happen to be in the Florida area, I strongly encourage you to at least reach out to Kim and check out the farm and see what you can do to help bring this wonderful charity forward. So I really appreciate Kim coming down to talk to us. Does anybody have any questions quick or? Yeah.
I got two. How far are you from Orlando exactly?
1 hour, 17 minutes.
That's not bad.
No.
Okay. The other thing, this is a specific question. Have you ever taken any Peruvian passes?
Have I ever taken any?
Peruvian passes.
Yes. I just had 2 Pesafinos and they were
No,
feral.
that's Pasofinos.
Yes. No, I've only had Pesafinos. I've
Okay,
never had
yeah.
a Peruvian.
You ever
No.
had Peruvian?
No.
That's my mom's horse. That's why.
Oh.
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
I'm sorry, mom's horse is.
You're okay. Sure. Go ahead.
I've taken care of horses before, and I know how skittish they can get around a large amount of people. So you're really good at socializing them?
I
How
have
many
my
people were
hand.
there this summer?
Last year we had 98 people on the farm at one time.
But honest to God, like the horses were so spread out, and then there's a totally separate farm. They had us shuttling back and forth. You could go to either one. I felt at peace, at calm with all the horses. I never felt like there were too many people in one place with one of the horses. And there were so many wonderful volunteers that knew a lot about the horses and could just give me information. And I snuck off with Kim, and she told me a little bit more. So.
And if you're going to be at Mare Fair, you'll have an opportunity if you want to volunteer on Mare Day to actually work with them. So make sure so make sure you watch the board because there will be things out there for people that can sign up.
I mean this in the nicest way possible. They go out of their way to hurt themselves in the funniest way possible.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Back up is the fun part.
Exactly. Did somebody else have a question? I thought I saw a hand.
Was there any more questions for Kim? All right, I know we're all excited for trivia. I do appreciate you taking a moment to listen to Kim's charity, and please go and say hi to her. She's always up to making some new friends.
Always.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for watching and learning about Fallen Oaks Equestrian Rescue. We appreciate you taking the time to learn about Kim and hearing about the farm. And feel free to go and check out her website, which will be linked below. Take care, and we will see you guys soon. Bye, guys.